Happy Monday, mathematicians. Today for math, you're going to need your 3 highlighters, glue stick, pencil, math notebook, and your blue resource folder. Remember, this is inside of your anchor binder, so don't take it out, just leave it inside. But you're going to open it up to today's teach pages. Remember, there's quite a few, so be very careful that you only are going to take out the ones I ask. So take off your clip. You're going to take out the teach page that says addition of whole numbers and greater numbers, and the page that has the example, and it starts with Aubrey writes a blog. Those are the 2 pages we need today. Once you're done, go ahead and very carefully clip those back together to the left pocket of your blue folder. Make sure it stays in your anchor binder and put your anchor binder back in your basket. We're going to go ahead in our notebook and we're going to open up to the last lesson we did on Friday, which you should have checked your answers according to the answer key that I posted before you start today's lesson. We worked on estimating sums and differences, which was on page 30 and 31. So we're going to turn the page and we're going to be placing page 32 on the left and page 33 on the right. Make sure that you are recording on the correct pages and the correct side of the notebook, so your notebook looks just like Mrs. Lang's. Then we're going to turn back to our table of contents, and we're going to insert number 32. And today's topic that we're going to be talking about is addition of whole numbers. And I'm just going to put the symbol for numbers, which looks like a pound or a hashtag. And then today's date is 9-14-20. So we are continuing on with this second unit of math, which we have been covering place value, and we're moving into addition and subtraction. Last week on Thursday, you took your mid-unit test using your notebook. Once we're done with our addition and subtraction portions, we're going to have a unit test on Friday. So that is a test where you are not to use your notebook. You should do it from your mastery of the skills. So make sure this week you're paying close attention to all of the new information and that you're reaching out if you have any additional questions. For our teach pages, we're going to be placing the teach page that has today's topic at the top, addition of whole numbers, on the left on page 32, and on the right, the example, practice, and reflection. So go ahead and use your glue stick. Go ahead and turn it over. Place the glue stick in that frame on the outside and crisscross it through the middle. Turn it back over and smooth it down. Make sure that it's closer to the bottom so you can leave yourself enough room, and if you've glued over your page number, just rewrite it. And then on the right, you're going to do the same with the practice page. Turn it over, make the frame on the outside, crisscross through the center, and place it as close to the bottom, and then smooth it on up. So as we said, we're going to be continuing on with this unit, focusing on our number sense with our understanding of place value and how that affects the value of digits that are placed there. And we're going to continue on with our practicing of addition and creating sums with our add-ins. So as we get started, we're going to use our highlighters to highlight important information. So on the left-hand side, we're going to highlight first the title, or our focus for today is how can we add whole numbers and numbers that are larger than maybe we've encountered in the past in 3rd grade. So we're going to be adding together larger numbers. The second part is going to be highlighting some of the key vocabulary that we need to make sure that we're using as mathematicians so we can correctly identify and use the numbers that are appropriate. So we're going to start by looking at the first definition. It says a sum is the answer to an addition problem. So we're going to highlight that first vocabulary word they have bolded, the word sum. And we used this word on Friday when we were talking about estimating the add-ins. So we need to once again remind ourselves, what does that word add-in mean? So I'm going to highlight with my second color. Add-ins are the numbers you add to find the sum. So those are the numbers we're actually putting together to find the actual answer. And they're going to give us an example of how we can look at this. So we see we have a bar that has been divided into sections according to the value of the number given. So the number 84 is a smaller box compared to the number 176. It's a little bit larger because the number is worth more. And then the next number, 159, is just a tiny bit less than this middle value because it's just slightly less in value. When we fill in the statement, it says the add-ins. So we're going to highlight it with the same color as we did for the vocabulary section to know we're now associating it with this statement. The add-ins in this bar diagram are, and so because they're placed one next to each other, and the question is saying, what is the total? Because this top bar or this top line is going the span of all three together. That's asking me to identify the smaller values that it's kind of hugging, like it's just hugging them together. So we have the first add-in 84. We place the second add-in 176 and 159. So we've added those three values into their appropriate position. The next part is then identifying how can we use those add-ins and create what we call an algorithm. So I'm going to highlight algorithm because this is a new vocabulary word for us today. And an algorithm is a set of steps used to solve a problem. The standard algorithm for adding whole numbers is shown. So this is the set of steps. So I'm going to underline those keywords to remember what algorithm means. So it's a set of steps to solve. And I'm going to underline to solve. So if they identify the set of steps, we're going to walk our way through. So it says use the steps to find the sum. So we're going to start always with this first step. So for step one, it says add the ones place and regroup if necessary or if needed. So we need to know where the ones place is in our place value. So we start on the right side. So I'm going to just put a little arrow to indicate this is my first spot. And if we had the value of 7 plus 1, we should be able to record our sum of 8. There is no need to regroup because it was a single digit as our sum. Step 2 then says add the tens and regroup if needed. So we go to the next place value. We add the value 2 plus 2 to give us a sum of 4. Once again, it's a single digit as a sum, so there's no need to regroup. Step 3, add the hundreds, regroup if necessary or needed. We go to the hundreds place. 2 plus 3 gives me the sum of 5. Once again, no need to regroup because it's a single digit. Step 4, add the thousands. Before I can add the thousands, I know that it's important to keep that comma that is located between the periods to show the correct value. So I write that before I move to my thousands. And now I'm going to add the value of 4 plus 2 to give me the sum of 6. There is no need to regroup because it was a single digit as a sum. So the last step is to add the 10,000s and regroup if needed. So moving to the 10,000 spot, 3 plus 1 gives me the sum of 4. So once again, I didn't have anything to regroup. There was no 2 digits in the answer, so the single digit is written. So our sum, by following the algorithm or set of steps, is 46,000, we said the period's name at the comma, 548. Now moving to the next example on the teach page, we have an original problem, and let's just make sure you darken that symbol just to remind yourself we're adding or finding a sum. We have the first add-in 126 and the second add-in 138. So we're going to be looking at following those algorithm steps to solve. So we start on the right side at the ones place. We add 6 plus 8, which gives us the sum of 14. We will need to do regrouping because 14 is 2 digits. So I always remember that I record what's in the ones place of my sum, regroup what's in the tens place. So the 1 goes on top. Now I move to the second step, adding the tens place. So I have the regrouped 1 I have to factor in. So I have 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. That's a single digit for my sum, so I can record it with no regrouping. Moving to my hundredths spot, I can add the value of 1 plus 1 to give me a single digit as a sum. So I have my recorded sum following the algorithm 264. We might have a horizontal presented problem where we have the 2 add-ins side by side. Anytime you're given 2 add-ins side by side, I expect you to rewrite them so they are stacked. So we're going to first follow those directions, and then out to the side, we're going to rewrite horizontal, that means side by side. So horizontal equations by stacking. And that's just a reminder that we're stacking to line up place values so we can add correctly. So we start in the ones place. 2 plus 8 gives me the sum of 10. So once again, I have a 2 digit, so I record the ones place, regroup the tens place. Going to the tens place, 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. So I have 2 digits, record the ones place, regroup the tens. And then in the hundred spot, I'm going to record 1 plus 1 plus 1, which gives me the value of 3, and my total sum is 320. Go ahead and pause your video, and I want you to complete the next 2 addition problems and then push play to check. So we're going to go ahead and check the 2 that you should have paused to complete on your own to make sure that you have the correct value. So when we add, we're adding 1 plus 1 to the right 2. 1 plus 8 is 9. Going to the hundred spot, 9 plus 6 is 15. So I record the 5, regroup my 1. Before I add the thousands, I'm going to write the comma to show the break in the periods. In the thousands spot, I have 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. So I record the 4, regroup my 1. And then in my 10,000s, I add 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. So my total sum is 84,592. The last problem that's written on the left that you should have done while you pause your video, we're going to add the ones place. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 2 digits mean I record the ones, regroup the tens. Then I add 1 plus 0 is still 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I record the 3. It's a single digit. Moving to the hundred spot, 0 plus 5 gives me the sum of 5. There is the break in the period, so I have to record my comma to show the correct value. Going to the thousand spot, 1 plus 5 is 6. Nothing to regroup, so I go to the 10,000s. 2 by itself stays the 2, and my total sum is 26,538. Anytime you're given a problem, if the text or the font is smaller than what is helpful for you, you can always rewrite it in a larger print so you can add your values in the correct steps, and then make sure you rewrite the answer in the original problem. The last practice problem for adding whole numbers is now presented as a word problem. So we're going to use our problem solving steps to solve. So this problem starts with a Miami Little League team played a doubleheader, which means 2 back-to-back baseball games. The first game lasted 155 minutes. So I'm going to circle that to say this is going to be an important number that I'm going to rewrite. The second game lasted 175 minutes. So I'm going to record that by circling to say, well, this sounds like it's also going to be an important number. There was a 30-minute break between games. What was the total time of the doubleheader? So for this particular one, I see that there is some miscellaneous information. Miscellaneous means they're giving me more information than I need. So this statement, there was a 30-minute break between games, is just going to add some additional information to this. So we know that it's an additional information because the question in the end says, what was the total time of the doubleheader? So at first glance, we think, well, does that really count as the miscellaneous information? And we say that this does not. This counts as a period of time that we have to add because it's going to have time that we're taking. So we're going to add that to the end. So when we add those 3 sums together, we're going to find the total time. So just remember that those keywords, total time, total means addition. So now we're going to add those 3 values. So 5 plus 5 gives me 10, plus 0 is still 10. So I record out of the 2 digits what's in the ones place, regroup the tens place. In my tens position, 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. 13 plus 3 is 16. So it's a 2-digit number. So I record what's in the ones place, regroup what's in the tens place. And the last spot in my hundreds, I add the value 1 plus 1 plus 1, which gives me 3. So the total time I spent is 360. Well, this is not a complete answer yet because they give me a label, and I need to know in a word problem, we always label the value or the information so we know what it is representing. So because they're talking about minutes, you have to have the label of minutes next to your total time. The last part of today's lesson is looking at our example and our two practice problems. So we're going to practice with the example together. So this is another word problem, so we have to read it carefully and use our strategy of circling numbers, boxing keywords, and underlining our questions. So it starts with Aubrey writes a blog. 29,604 people read her post, I'm sorry. So go ahead and circle the number. The second sentence, the next week, 47,684 people read her second post. So we're going to circle the second value, including the label, so we can keep everything nice and organized. Aubrey's third post had 41,582 readers, so we're going to circle with the label. And then the question is, what is the total number of readers? So we're going to underline to know what is our focus to answer. Our total number, we're going to box to remember that this means that I'm going to be adding numbers together. When we see this special word of readers and we go back to all the labels, readers and people are the same thing because of the way the information is presented. When I write my answer, I'm always going to write the label that's in the question. So we're going to pull our numbers to the side to create our addition sentence. So we're going to stack our values of 29,604. The next value is 47,684. And the third value is 41,582. So they're asking total, so we're adding, and we're going to use the algorithm or the set of steps to solve this problem starting in the ones position. So 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. It's a two-digit number, so I record what's in the ones place, regroup what's in the tens. Adding the next value, 1 plus 0 stays 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 8 is 17, so that's a two digits, so I record what's in the ones place, regroup what's in the tens place. In the hundreds place, 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. 13 plus 5 is 18. It's a two-digit sum, so I record what's in the ones place, regroup what's in the tens. Before I ever add the thousands spot, I have to make sure that I create the comma to show the break in the periods to show the correct value. Now I can go to the thousands place to continue adding. So I have 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. 17 plus 1 is 18. So it's a two-digit number. I record in the ones place, regroup the tens place. And then in the 10,000s position, I add the values of the regrouped. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. This, because it's the last value, if it is a double-digit sum, you can go ahead and write both side by side because there's nothing left that I can regroup to. So our total answer is 118,870. Just like we said before, we always use the label that's in the question, so I have to write the label readers to finish and have full credit for an answer. The next two problems are very similar to what we just did. They're just presented in a different way, so a different format. So the first one says select all, so we're going to box that phrase. We have to be able to recognize that this means there could be more than one answer. So there could be more than one answer. So that is our job to know that even if I find one correct answer, I have to find all that represent the correct information. So for this one, it says select all the correct sums. So you will have to add the values to look at the sum to see did they add correctly. Use the process of elimination to check the problems that are done correctly and then X out the ones that are not. You're going to do this on your own by pausing, and then you're going to push play in just a moment. For this particular one, I'm not going to pull each one out to the side, but you should. So I'm going to write on my notebook, must show your work. So when you submit your completed teach page, I want to see the work for each of these equations. So when you showed your work, you should have been able to determine that the first one is considered a correct equation, or if they did the correct sum. The second problem did not come out correctly. The third one is a correct sum. And the fourth one is also a correct sum. The fifth one is not. So for each one of these problems, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 word problem work areas. So must show your work for all answer choices. So I'm going to just record that as a reminder that mine does not show it, but you were expected to do that. For this last practice problem, the problem says once again, select all. So we can then point to that definition again. That means there could be more than one answer. Select all of the addition expressions that have a sum of 89,405. This word expression means there's no equal sign. So no equal sign present. So for these are called expressions because they don't have the equal sign. But it wants you to be able to determine which ones of these equal that value of 89,405. So you're going to once again pause your video, show me your work. So I'm going to write show work for all by solving. You are not to write my note. You are to show me the work for it. That will let me know if you're following directions or not. So go ahead and pause the video, do your work on the space around, and then push play to check it. So you were just asked to push pause in your video to show me the work for each of these expressions, and I must see it to get credit. The first one, when you add, does not come up with the sum that they have. The second one does come up to the exact sum of 89,405. The third one does not. The fourth one does come up to the exact same sum. And the same with the last one. It also does. So for your two practice problems, to show me that you have watched the entire video, you must show me the work for each of your answer choices to prove that you have done the practice problems. In your reflection today, you are going to go ahead and write your reflection that it must be 3 to 5 sentences. You can walk yourself through a problem by telling me the steps to the algorithm. So you can use these steps that are already here, but just use your own words to rewrite them. So you would start with, first, I add the digits in the ones place. Then I add the digits in the tens place. Make sure that you also mention if you need to regroup. So reflection statement has to be between 3 to 5 sentences. When you're done, you're going to finish up with your workbook. That's that thin Envision workbook. And you're going to be completing pages 15 through 16 and the even numbers. I want to see all work shown. I need to see that you are following the steps of the algorithm so I can double check if we have anything that we need to review. Please make sure that you submit a picture of your completed teach pages, including the work for both practice problems and your workbook pages 15 and 16 that you can find in your Envision Extra Practice Workbook, pages 15 and 16.